Ever played that game, what is it called? Telephone? Yeah, telephone, where you whisper something down the line, and by the time it gets to the end, it's totally garbled.
Right.
That's what early machine translation felt like. You'd feed in a sentence, and what came out on the other end, well, you weren't quite sure what happens.
Yeah, it was like a bad game of telephone.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into the paper that basically, like, fixed the connection, right? Gave us crystal clear communication. Attention is all you need.
I love that title. I mean, it's bold, a little cocky maybe, but they really delivered. But before this paper, you got to imagine, teaching a computer to translate was like building a house, but brick by literal brick. Each word was a brick, carefully laid one after the other.
Okay, so, like, very methodical, but probably not efficient.
Yeah, and that was basically the problem with recurrent neural networks, or RNNs, the big thing before this.
Okay, solid foundation, but not winning any speed building awards.
Exactly. Short phrases, they were fine. Give them a long, winding sentence, though. Forget about it. It'd crumble under the pressure. Try building the Great Wall of China one brick at a time.
Right, that's not going to work. So this paper did something radically different, right?
They shifted the whole paradigm. So instead of that brick by brick, step by step, they taught AI to focus on relationships. It's like looking at the blueprint of a house instead of just laying bricks.
I like that. That's a good analogy.
And that's the power of attention.
Okay, hold on. Attention. What are we talking about here? Did AI suddenly discover, like, meditation retreats and mindfulness?
Think about it like reading a mystery novel. You're not giving equal weight to every single word on the page, right?
Right.
Your brain, it naturally focuses on the clues, the suspicious characters, those key plot points. Attention, in AI, it's similar. It's about selectively focusing on what matters most to really understand the bigger picture.
So less about, like, just processing everything in order and more about recognizing what's actually important.
Exactly. It's about context. It's about nuance. Remember those old translation tools that would give you hilariously bad results?
Oh, yeah.
That's because they were stuck in that brick-by-brick mentality.
Okay, so this is what always gets me right. It sounds great in theory, but how does it actually work? Like, does an AI have a tiny little magnifying glass and it's just like, important word, important word?
Well, it's a bit more complex than a magnifying glass, but I like the way you think.
Okay, good.
The paper introduces something called scaled dot product attention. And while it sounds very technical, it's actually quite elegant. It lets the AI very quickly figure out which words are most relevant to each other in a sentence. So it's like certain words are lighting up with different levels of importance depending on the context.
Okay, so it's not just about understanding the individual words, it's about understanding how they connect, how they relate to each other.
Exactly. And here's the really cool part. This attention, it allows for parallel processing.
Okay.
So remember RNNs building that wall one brick at a time? Attention, it's like having a whole construction crew show up. Each team can work on a different section at the same time. Everything is faster, it's more efficient.
So, like, upgrading from dial-up to, like, you know, fiber optic internet, but for AI.
Yeah, perfect analogy. That's exactly what it did. This breakthrough, it paved the way for AI to process even complex language with crazy accuracy.
This is already starting to sound like some next-level AI wizardry to me, but before we get, you know, too far ahead of ourselves, let's pause for a second. We've talked about the problem. We've talked about this really innovative attention solution. Are we ready to move on to what they actually built with it?
Okay, so we've got this attention, and it's changing how AI understands language.
Yeah.
But this paper is called Attention is All You Need, right?
Right.
Did they really just, like, ditch everything else? What did they even build with this attention?
They built the transformer. It's kind of like it sounds. Pretty revolutionary. Okay, now I'm picturing, like, a futuristic, you know, language processing factory. But really, what's so special about this transformer thing?
It's all about attention, but they use it in some really, really innovative ways.
Okay.
One of the big ones is multi-head attention. So instead of having like one spotlight on the important words, imagine multiple spotlights all working at the same time, but each one is focused on a different part of the sentence.
So it's like a team of, like, specialized translators all working on different layers of meaning at the same time.
You got it. Like one attention head might be all about the verb and the subject, right? Making sure that makes sense.
Right.
While another one is figuring out like how different clauses relate to each other.
Okay, so they're really understanding, like, the grammar and the syntax, but on a much deeper level now. Yeah. Okay, but there's something I'm not quite wrapping my head around.
Yeah.
If we're not doing that whole brick by brick reading, How does this transformer know what order the words go in?
Good question. Because dog bites man. Very different from man bites dog.
Exactly.
So that's where another billion part of the transformer comes in. Positional encoding. We need a way to keep track of word order, even though we're not going one by one anymore.
Okay, so do they, like, give each word a little number tag or something? How does that work?
Even more clever than that. They use, get this, sine and cosine functions.
Oh, no, not math.
Yeah, a little bit of math, but it's actually really elegant. They use these functions to create, like, these unique position tags for every single word. It's like giving them a spot on a map, so even though we're processing everything kind of all at once, we still know where each word sits in the sentence.
Okay, so even though it's happening in parallel, everything's still organized.
Exactly.
So we've got attention heads working in parallel. We've got this positional encoding to keep everything straight. But can we actually see this attention happening? Like, is there something in the paper that shows it?
Yeah, and this is one of the coolest parts. The researchers actually visualize these attention patterns.
Oh, wow.
So you can, like, look at a sentence, and the words light up with different intensities depending on how much attention the model is paying to them.
So we're actually seeing the AI focus as it's reading.
Exactly. And it's not random, Yeah. It's focusing on the same things that we as humans would focus on, which is just mind-blowing to me.
Right, like it actually makes sense what it's picking out.
It understands.
Got it.
It's not just translating, it's understanding.
This is where it gets really, really cool, right? Because we're not just talking about better translations anymore.
Yeah.
We're talking about AI that is starting to really, truly understand the meaning behind what it's processing.
And that's really just the beginning. This is where attention is all you need, the impact. I mean, it goes way beyond just translation. This is the real legacy here.
All right, before we go there, let's just take stock of what we've learned about the transformer itself, because this thing is packed with cool stuff. So we've got these attention heads, positional encoding.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's like we've given AI this whole new toolbox for understanding language.
And it's not just about making better translations, though, of course, that was a huge deal.
Right.
The really amazing thing about attention is all you need is what happened after.
Right. You mentioned it sparked a whole wave of new AI models.
Like this paper, it gave researchers this missing piece,
Yeah.
and suddenly, boom,
Yeah.
explosion of new ideas.
So all those crazy things AI can do now, like those recommendations that are so accurate, it's kind of creepy.
Right.
Or those chatbots, I swear they're going to start talking back to me in my sleep soon.
It's getting really real.
This all goes back to this idea of attention.
This paper really changed the game. And it's not just AI that's different now. It's how we experience technology every single day. Think about it.
Yeah.
How we search for things online, how we watch movies, listen to music. It's all powered by this stuff.
And that's something I think we forget sometimes, right? Like,
Yeah.
behind all this amazing AI, there are still actual humans, these researchers who are pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And this paper, this is a testament to that.
Oh, absolutely. And the crazy thing is, we're just getting started. This paper, it's like it opened up these doors we didn't even know were there.
So I've got one last question for you. For our listener out there, right? Someone who's not building AI, but living in this world that's increasingly shaped by it, what's the big takeaway from all of this?
I think attention is all you need. It wasn't just a catchy title. It was kind of a prophecy. It showed that sometimes the most elegant solutions, they have the biggest impact. And it reminded us that intelligence, whether it's ours or a machine's, it really comes down to focus. Where we choose to direct our attention, that's what matters.
That's a really powerful thought to end on. Big thanks to our expert for breaking all of this down for us. And to our listeners, if you're anything like me, and I know you are, you're probably dying to learn more. So go check out the paper itself. We've given you a little head start, but the real fun is in the exploration. Keep those minds curious, everyone.